So in 2018, Justin's mother moved in with us. She had an accident and needed some care. And Doodle lived here with us until we could get her into an assisted living. My mother-in-law already had her. She was given to her as an emotional support animal, something that she could take care of and easily with her injuries that she had.
After Mom left here and went to the facility, Doodle was with her pretty much constantly for a number of years.
Up until she went missing.
Mm-hmm.
My mother-in-law is in a wheelchair, so she went to go get her medicine, and Doodle was following her and went out the gate and went missing.
Yeah.
They brought her in. She just looked a hot mess. I mean, she had string wrapped around her legs. Her one leg was probably 3 or 4 times the size it's supposed to be. The other leg also had string wrapped around it. She didn't have any teeth. I mean, she was
very skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Very skinny. So our concerns were that she was going to be dehydrated, for one, and number two, we were worried about organ failure as far as kidneys and liver. But everything was in the normal range, right down the middle.
You would think, too, with her having kind of a bad mouth, her age, you would see deficits in her kidney liver enzymes, or even with her CBC, everything was right down the middle when we look at their red and their white blood cell count. She didn't have any even signs of infection, so it kind of led us to believe that it was a chronic condition and had been going on for quite a while.
And then I proceeded to shave some of the hair off of her to give her some relief because her skin was so tight from all the mats on it, and that took a little while, and we did that before we went into surgery.
We were able to tell that her leg was necrotic before we even shaved it. That she had the string wound so tight around there that you could see where the skin is just bulging, and you really couldn't even tell she had a foot. So, but her face was completely matted too. We shaved around her eyes, around her mouth. She was just kind of in terrible condition. While we were examining her, we actually were able to tell that her lower jawbone, her mandibular symphysis, was actually broken. So in a normal instance, we would try the cerclage wire to repair it, but there wasn't really any way to repair it because she didn't have any teeth to hold the wire in. But she actually has gotten along pretty well without it. She's eating, drinking, and that mandibular symphysis will hopefully unite and reform. She was very timid, kind of sit back in the back of the kennel, and she was a little bit afraid. But, I think once we removed the source of her pain, and even though she may still have had pain from her jaw fracture, I think she could tell she was, in a good, loving place, and that we were going to take care of her. So after the surgery, I'd say she had a great prognosis. She was happy and healthy, and she went home with one of our employees who fostered her until she was able to be reunited with her original owners.
The Humane Society and their volunteers have just been wonderful. Yeah. One of the volunteers is a friend of ours. Melanie texted me and she said, "What would you say if I told you Doodle was alive?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they sent the pictures, and from the pictures it was like, ooh, it really looks like her. And then Melanie and her husband brought Doodle by.
She didn't recognize me immediately, but she was all bundled up. As soon as she smelled me, you could tell she was very excited. It's like, oh yeah, that's Doodle.
If a dog could visibly go, that was how her reaction was. My heart was overjoyed, and I was in total shock because I prepared myself on my drive home from work that this can't be her. It's just ironic. There's another dog that's similar after being gone for a year and a half, and when I walked in and her reaction, it was just melting. It just melted my heart.
As she can't stay with my mom right now, at least she's with her family here, and that is an amazing thing.
We have 2 other dogs that we adopted from the Humane Society back in 2015. She rules the roost. Doodle did before she left, and she does now too. And she's back to her. She's very protective of whoever's holding her, so she'll bark at you, and it's great. We've missed her.
There are many organizations that provide humanitarian services. and we focus on us two-legged beasts quite enough. That we have in the extremes of our environment a group of volunteers and people who care and have that knowledge base, care for our animal friends that truly enrich our lives. There's no price that can cover that. It's an amazing thing to have people who are willing and able to do such a difficult job every single day, because sometimes they can see the worst of what can happen and help to bring some healing to the animals and the families. And it's truly an amazing thing.
You know, I loved working at veterinary clinics, but I feel like at a shelter, you see the array of things that you see at a veterinary clinic, but you don't get to see the people who care about vet med like shelter people do. I mean, we intake animals, so many animals, every single day, every single week, every single year. And you can't find better people to work at a shelter and want to help save all of them. You know, at a vet clinic, they put them to sleep because they've lived 15 years of their life. We're here to hopefully we can send them home and they'll get to live 15 years with somebody.